And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of March 12th, 2018 are about to head your way. So go ahead and press that record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Which is more valuable, silver, gold, or platinum? If you're thinking credit cards, platinum may spell power, but for cars, the shine's on silver. When we come back, I'll give you the highlights.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything comes to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Gold's great and platinum's precious, but drivers agree silver's the color for cars. DuPont's Global Color Popularity Report has tracked car color trends for over 50 years, and this year's stats say silver's supreme, reportedly a reflection on technology-focused lifestyles and the new sharp lines in vehicle design. The second most popular color is white, followed by black, blue, green, medium red, light brown, gold, bright red, and medium gray. Whatever color car you keep, wash and shine it. Not only will your car mirror your pride, but it'll also be worth more silver dollars at trade-in time. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Are you wishing and hoping and dreaming? About cars, that is? Teachers used to scold for idling away the hours. Now they give high fives. When I come back, I'll tell you all about it.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything comes to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Daydreaming in class used to get you a trip to the principal's office. Now it could be your ticket to the winner's circle. Daimler Chrysler is sponsoring the Build Your Dream Vehicle competition. Students conceive and design futuristic, environment-friendly automobiles, then present three-dimensional models and marketing plans to judges. Trophies and cash may be the destinations students have in mind, but along the way, they learn about teamwork, finance, technology, and communication. And who knows, their dreams may find the way to your garage. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Anyone who's ever parked their car on an incline knows getting parked is just half the job. Getting out of park can be just as challenging. Do you know the trick? When I come back, I'll tell you.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything comes to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Here's how to avoid Heartbreak Hill, ensure your car stays put while it's parked on an incline, and avoid the frustration of a shift lever that just won't budge when you're ready to go. Simply apply the parking brake, then put an automatic transmission in park, or a manual transmission in reverse gear. This puts the weight of the car right where it belongs, on your brakes. And remember, turn your wheels toward downhill curbs and away from uphill curbs. These tips can save you frustration and protect favorite property, your car. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Hickory Dickory Dock. Oh, you think I'm into children's nursery rhymes? Nope, I'm just telling you where the action is in a Louisiana small town. I'll address this mystery and more when we come back.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything comes to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hickory Dickory Dock. In Harahan, Louisiana, the mouse skipped the clock and ran across the intersection of Hickory and Dickory Avenues with Dock Street. Yes, State Farm Insurance discovered this real-life intersection, along with some others you'll remember, without a trip down memory lane, like Ho and Hum Roads in Carefree, Arizona, Grin and Barrett Streets in Westchester, Ohio, and Antonio and Banderas in Rancho Santa Margarita, California. Those are almost as good as my favorite imaginary corner, where Easy Street meets Fast Lane. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. Oxymorons. You know, the things that just don't seem to go together, like jumbo shrimp or deafening silence. How about new car and service manager? You'll be surprised. When I come back, I'll tell you all about it.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything comes to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
If thinking of the service manager while inking your new car deal seems like an oxymoron, think again. Though today's cars are certainly more roadworthy than their predecessors, they can still break. In fact, the experts at the LA Auto Show report that automotive repair is a $200 billion business, and 1 of every 3 cars serviced returns for additional work. So ask your new car salesperson for an introduction to the service manager. It's a small investment with a big payoff at repair time and for maintenance checks. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Good morning. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Also, our easier to remember phone number is 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. I'll repeat it for you just a little later in the program because you'll want to call, but you'll obviously wait toward the middle of the program, so don't do that. Let's get up early. Let's get started early. Hannah will take your calls at 888 Car Clinic, put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air, 888-227-2546. So we were talking this morning before the program about flies. Because there's one fly in this studio. Don't ask me how you get. Well, I know how you got in here. We have all the lights on, and we left the door open because it's such a beautiful day today. Now, no, the door doesn't go to the outside, but it goes to the inside of a 15,000 square foot automotive service shop because that's where we're broadcasting from. From Bobby Likis Car Clinic Service Pre-Repair on the heart of the Gulf Coast. in Pensacola, Florida. So join me and ride along with me this hour and let's talk cars. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by O'Reilly Auto Parts. If you do-it-yourselfers are looking for the right tool for the job, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Power Torque Tools DIY sale. You can't miss it. You'll find a wide selection of Power Torque tools on sale now and guaranteed for life. Power Torque Tools DIY Days sale going on now at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices, every day. Your calls when I come back.
O'Reilly.
If you do-it-yourselfers are looking for the right tool for the job, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts Power Torque Tools DIY Day sale. You'll find a wide selection of Power Torque tools on sale now and guaranteed for life. Power Torque Tools DIY Day sale going on now at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Motorrad, a longtime OE supplier, is the leader in automotive thermostats and fuel and oil coolant caps. Motorrad's state-of-the-art quality control and functional testing systems ensure high-quality, long-lasting products. Motorrad delivers world-class product development, providing all the parts and accessories needed to do the job right the first time, every time. Motorrad offers the best coverage of thermostats and closure caps in the world for virtually any vehicle and engine on or off the road. Motorrad, leading the way in coverage and service. Car repairs get expensive, and most of us don't have the money for them. That's where brands like K-Seal can really be a lifesaver. For example, heater core leaks are an expensive repair and can cost up to $1,000. These sorts of leaks often happen on vehicles that really aren't worth the price of the repair. Your choice is to spend the money or junk the car. Now, there's a third option, K-Seal. Older sealers use sodium silicate, and while it may stop the leak, it may also clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology that's designed to repair leaking heater cores without clogging. It's a simple repair. Just shake the container, mix the contents completely, add K-Seal to the radiator directly when the vehicle is cool, and then drive the car until the leak is sealed. Important to remember that when working on a cooling system, never remove a radiator cap while the vehicle's hot. Pressure and heat can be dangerous. Avoid a coolant leak casualty? Try K-Seal. Find K-Seal at automotive retailers everywhere and get more information at kseal.com. That's kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P. Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, loaded, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake, and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I want to remind you every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, we broadcast and global cast this program. What's the difference? Well, the difference is we broadcast through our a great partner. I say partner, Westwood One in New York, and Angel Bourdon, super nice guy. So, Fabio, was Angel in this morning?
Yes, he was.
Oh, he was. Well, hello, Angel. So he's the gentleman. We send our signal by a very sophisticated fiber optic from our booth, it is a nice booth too, it's a studio, to the Westwood One studios in New York, and then Westwood One Angel takes care of it from there and puts it on the satellite, and then it's beamed down to the North American hemisphere, and that's how our stations, our FM and AM stations, get this program every Saturday. You can get this program as well if you're out of town and you're away from your local radio, AM or FM station, at watchbobbylive.com. watchbobbylive.com. And it's video, it's HD, and you can hear all and see all that's going on. You can see inside the studio. And from time to time, I haven't done this in a while, but from time to time, I take video cameras and I can go out to the shop and show you the little Porsche that I have that is one of a kind. Well, it's one of 406 of a kind. That's a 1980. I've had it since 1985. It's my pride and joy. I don't drive it, but it is ready to run as we speak. I keep it that way because when I get ready to show it, I want it to reach through the window and fire it off. And how do I do that? Well, the main thing that you have to have with a car that you don't drive is a way to maintain the battery. And I use the battery tender, and it's a really neat device that I don't have to worry about. I leave it on there 24/7, 365. And before I got that particular, this particular charger, which is a computer controlled, even online access, I can check the battery. Before I really got the battery tender, I used a charger, you know, one of those little trickle chargers that you all buy. We all buy. You know, it's about the size of a, I don't know, 8 by 8 inches. Those things will ruin a battery if you leave them on 24/7, 365, because they only pare down from like 6 or 8 amps to like 2.5 amps, but when doing so, they are always charging. And when, folks, you're always charging a battery, you're maintaining that battery, but you're also heating up the electrolyte, and it boils out. Well, it doesn't boil out, it evaporates. When it does, the plates are uncovered, ruins the battery. I know, I did this for years and years and years, until finally I got the battery tender, and now no problems, no issues. And this battery in this car I've had is going on 7 years. That's right, I finished the car in 2004, December, and I've put 1,300 miles on it since then. That's a lot of short trips to go get gas. Let's take a call from Ron, and then we'll take your calls at 888-227-2546. And then I want to share with you the cities that overspend on cars, and also the cities that spend the least on cars. But first, Ron, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding. Ron?
Yes, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
So, Ron, you ever get those spam calls? You reminded me this morning because you were obviously, you know, not paying attention or away from your phone. But we get those calls, and I got one just yesterday. My cell phone rings. I knew it was not for me, but I picked it up anyway, and it says, "This is to advise you that you have a credit card," or the other one, the one that was really another one yesterday was, "You failed to respond, and now there's a government lawsuit against you." And I say, really? Really? You know, but anyway, let's talk cars. What can I do for you this morning?
Yeah, I hear people get those calls all the time. I have a 93 Buick Century, 3.3 liter V6. And my question is, I'm having slow starts. The battery's fine, it turns over. If I leave it sitting a few minutes after I shut it off, it takes up to 3 times before it will start.
Okay.
And I did have some rough idling issues, so I've remedied, you know, some of the vacuum leaks, and
right.
I think I have most all of them now. I put a fuel pump in it about 2 years ago.
Right.
I can hear the fuel pump when I turn the key on.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear it click and pulsate or what have you.
Right. It runs 3/4 of a second. What do I think? Number one, you've already corrected the primary issues with that year of V6, and that was intake manifold leaks, vacuum leaks. However, the intake manifold itself can be leaking. So what you should do is, with the engine idling, and preferably if you had someone to sit in the car, you'd have to have this now, with the engine idling and it in gear, air conditioner off, so that you've got a little load on the engine, a small amount of load on the engine, but you don't have anything that cycles, because the air conditioner is going to cycle on and off. and it would change the speed. And what I want to do is I want you to test the engine idle under a little bit of a load, which is in gear, with someone sitting in the car, and AC off, and then you'll take any kind of a lubricant, like a brake clean or something like that, and you'll just around various. In other words, I don't know how you found the vacuum leaks, but that is an excellent way to find a vacuum leak. Now, when you spray it around the throttle body or around the intake manifold gaskets or the PCV system or any vacuum hoses attached to the engine, Ron, and you can make a significant change in the speed of the engine. In other words, let's say it's going and you spray a little and it goes then it goes You see what I'm saying? If you can affect the speed of the engine by spraying some flammable, and you want to use something that's neat. You wouldn't use gasoline, of course, but you use, we use gas, just regular propane, to fatten up the engine to see if that really will make the engine change. But anyway, that's one way for vacuum leaks. So you can
I have done that.
Okay.
I have done that.
All right, great.
And I found where 3 of the bolts to the intake on the front side of it, I don't know how, but I tightened those down because I was getting like you said, the up and down of the engine idle.
But that tells me.
Running, but it wasn't. But it was not under load.
Yeah, well, under load, it just makes it more sensitive. But let's go back. You found, by doing what I just suggested, you've already done that. You found some leakage on some bolts, and you tightened the bolts, right?
Right.
Okay, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. That has to come off.
Okay.
That manifold has to come off and has to be cleaned thoroughly. Look for cracks, because that's a constant. And in fact, you're going to find that you have cracks in the intake manifold that you can't see until you get it off and get it cleaned, and you start to put it back on. And you say, well, what is this? This surface is, what is this crack here? So that's number one. And for your information, Ron, the aftermarket intake manifold is better than General Motors installed to start with, because let's face it, you got a 93 Buick, so it's got some age on it. All right, so that's number one. No, and that would affect everything that you're talking about, and that would be the first thing for you to do. In the meantime, you did replace the fuel pump. Here's a way that, and folks, this really works for any car that has electronic fuel injection, which is almost every car today, except for DI. It won't work for DI. If you have a car that has the same symptom that Ron's, i.e., it doesn't jump to life, it turns over, cranks over fine, but doesn't start fine, doesn't come to life fine, what you want to do, Ron, and you can try this as well, cycle the key, but don't go to the start position. Turn the key from off to run 3, 4, 5 times, at least 4 times, without going to the start position. Every time you go to off and back to run, but not start, the fuel pump will for 3/4 of a second, and that will restore fuel pressure in the loop, in the rails. And when you go to hit the starter, you've got a full load of fuel pressure as if it were running, which you never have until it's running, because even residual pressure is only, say, 25 or 50% of what the current running pressure would be, but it should be there. Residual pressure should always be there. And then when you go after the 4th turn of off on, then you go and start the engine without touching the accelerator, and if it jumps to life like it hasn't done but prior to that, you'll know that you have a fuel pressure regulator that's not holding pressure. And there are ways that you can test this, so I'm giving you this advice as a do-it-yourselfer versus sending you to a service shop. But I will say this, your next steps are going to be pull the intake manifold, do a great job, be sure and buy the right gaskets, and quite candidly, if you'll go to a local O'Reilly Auto Parts store, ask them for the latest gaskets for your engine and intake manifold, you'll save yourself a lot of money because you'll get the right part at the right price. And I'll come back and take Sylvia's call. Don't touch that dial. Your car and your life have a lot of moving parts, and your car battery is what keeps it all going. While all batteries may look the same on the outside, it's what's inside that matters. Choose a battery with PowerFrame Grid technology inside. It's engineered with confidence to keep you going longer. That means you can trust your battery with PowerFrame to be there start after start. Visit Advance Auto Parts or CarQuest for a battery with PowerFrame Grid technology or learn more at powerframe.com.
I am for the child who lives in motels, cars, and shelters. The child finally put in foster care, a group home, where he sleeps not on a bed, but a temporary cot. That is the child I am for. And because I am, he'll be that much more likely to find a safe, permanent home. I am a court-appointed special advocate volunteer. I am you.
Lift up a child's voice, a child's life. Get involved at casaforchildren.org.
Folks, being car care aware is important all year round, but winter is an especially critical time as harsher conditions can put strains on your vehicle. Here are a few items to check, courtesy of the Car Care Council. Your vehicle's tires keep you rolling down the proverbial highway. This time of year, it's smart to check tread depth before driving on icy roads, and you may want to consider special winter tires. Check tire pressure weekly during the winter, as every 10-degree drop in temperature causes a 1-pound decrease in tire pressure. Check your exhaust system for carbon monoxide leaks, as windows are more likely to be closed during this time of year. It's also a great idea to keep your gas tank half full, as this will help avoid moisture buildup in the gas lines, which could ultimately freeze this time of year. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order your free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove compartment. That's carcare.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher at 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question, feel free to give us a call. Their only dumb car question, believe it or not, is the one not asked. It's like going to a doctor and, as you walk out or you get back in your car and as a rule, someone will go with you, your wife, husband, or loved one, or friend, or brother, or whomever. And you'll say, gosh, I wish I had thought about, what about so-and-so? Well, he never said or she never said. And the bottom line, the best thing to do in that case that I found is to make a list of all the things that you think that you want to know. Of course, after you leave, you're still going to come up with another one or two items that you just didn't know. And therein lies the core of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And the core goal is for me to give you buzzwords and help you better understand the nature of how your car works. Not that I'm here to in detail, although I do get in detail from time to time, right? But it's important that you understand the nature of the vehicle and how things are made and how specifically engines run and transmissions work and differentials and brakes, so that you don't take your car in and hand the keys to the service shop and say, it's got this noise in it, just make it go away. Well, the noise could be one of a million things, and the cost could be, one of $1 million. So you don't want to hand your keys and your wallet to a service shop. And quite candidly, folks, having been in the service business for tomorrow, yay, this is the 10th today, right? Tomorrow will be our company's 47th year. March 11th, 1971, we started Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And then 27 years ago, we started Bobby Likis Car Clinic Network, which is this broadcast network. So 27 years on the radio and in broadcast television, and 47 years in the automotive service business. So my goal here is to help you better communicate with your local service shop right there in your own hometown, which is what you're going to have to do in order to get your car fixed. Let's go to New York, take a call from Sylvia, and then a little later I'll get back to the cities that overspend on cars, but Sylvia is more important. Sylvia, good morning. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I've been dealing with my Camry 2001 for the last probably 6,000 miles.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, I figured I can't take it anymore, so I took it into a transmission place. The car surges on a sporadic but pretty regular basis, and I took it to a transmission service, and they did the fuel and induction cleaning, decarbonize engine, clean and adjust the throttle body,
Right.
the spark plugs, the valve cover gasket.
Okay.
Nothing. So then I went again 3 months later, and they did the remove, clean, and reinstall the idle air control.
Okay.
Nothing.
Well, let
Toyota.
me interrupt you just 1 minute. The idle air control is the door to the mouth of the engine that controls the idling speed only. After you step on the accelerator, the idle air control has nothing to do with how the vehicle runs. It is a what I explain as a stage door to a theater. In other words, we've got a theater this weekend. We've got La Mancha coming on. We have 6 sets of double doors to let all the crowd, we hope, that will come into the theater. But around the back, we have one little door where some of our stagehands come in. The idle air control doesn't have the authority to let double doors and multitudes of air in or people in. It's a little stage door that's like, for example, like a tracheotomy. It's an orifice that is restricted, but it's bigger than none. So it's a bypass for the throttle plate, which means this: if the front door of your house is closed and you had to get in the house, you could crawl through the window. So it's a little window that adjusts the idle speed depending on how open that window is or closed that window is, Sylvia. So I just want you to know, because if you have, and I want folks to know, if you have a condition with your car as you're driving down the road, the idle air controller is not in service at that time. And even if it were, you've got the front door open, so the other door is open, other windows open too. It just gets more air. And it still gets the same amount of fuel, because that doesn't affect the air-fuel ratio. Now I'm going to turn the mic back to you so you can continue your story.
Okay, and so I called Toyota, and they just referred me to a Toyota dealer.
Right.
And he took me for a road test. He did witness it. He said, come back when it's doing it. Well, he kind of qualified that. He said the best time is 10 to 12 or 2 to 4. Well, my car doesn't understand that. It does what it wants to do.
Yeah, when it wants to. Well, here's the point. And you know, actually, I really like what he told you, because I was going to tell you the same thing, but in a different fashion. And all this time you've had the car in, you see, they drive, or you take them for a drive, but I want you to do 2 things. And you can do this with a cell phone with memo notes. Years ago, I used to tell people to get a little loose leaf, palm-sized notebook and take notes when your car was acting up, because the most erratic thing that happens, and the most frustrating thing that happens, is that erratic running engine where it runs like a till of the Hun for you, and you come to my shop or a shop, and it runs like Miss Manners. So here's what you do, and this is going to be easier for you and take some of the frustration away. So here's what I suggest. Drive the car like you normally drive it. Determine the next time that it starts to act up for you, you want to record the temperature of the weather outside. That's easy enough. You want to know and record if the engine is cold, warm, or hot. And let me explain those to you. It's real simple. Cold means that you get in the car and you drive it for the first 2 blocks, 6 blocks. That's cold. Warm is after the first 6 or 8 blocks, but less than 6 miles. And then after you drive it 6 miles or 6 minutes or so, then hot means normal operating temperature. So it's got to warm up, just like when we get out of bed in the morning. So let your engine warm up. And if your engine doesn't work really well when it's cold, but it runs fine once it gets warmed up, that's important for that shop to know. Because if that's the case, you could have this poorly running automobile and take it to a shop, and by the time you got to the shop, it runs perfect because it's warmed up. And in order, go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
But because it's my car, it does it when it's cold.
Okay.
It does it when it backs out of the garage, going down the road, and normal.
Well, it does it all the time. Okay, but so far you've yet to prove that or illustrate that to the service shop. So here's what I want you to do.
That's correct.
I want you to determine, Sylvia, when your engine or your vehicle is at its worst. Okay? I mean, it definitely changes its activities with temperature change, because that's typical of any internal combustion engine. So whatever's wrong is affected more so cold, warm, or hot. I guarantee you, all engines. Now, I mean, unless it's broken inside, and then it never runs right. And if that were the case, they would have already found that. Now, once you determine how best to make it worse, it may be that you take your car and you leave your car parked outside that dealership under their control, but have it left outside, and then you go down the next morning and you get in your car with the service technician and you drive and you take that technician for a ride. That's a surefire way for you to look at that technician eye to eye and say, feel that, see that, see that, and the technician's going to say, I got it. Then stop. Pull over where there's a safe place to park. Put that person in the driver's seat. Car's still going to act up because you haven't gone that far. Pull over, exchange position so that he or she drives the car and you ride. Let that same person feel what you just illustrated to her or him, and then you're on the same page. That way, when you leave your car, here's what happens. They call you, they say, we found A, B, or X. Okay, fine, it's going to cost you X. Fine, fix it. They replace A, B, or X the next morning and leave your car. Even if it's fixed, you leave your car for them to retest it under the same circumstances the next morning. This takes longer, but I can tell you, I've done it hundreds of times in my 47 years of experience. And I will say this, out of all of the erratic behavior vehicles that we've had in our shop, the ones that were so hard to determine, it has, I can't say never because I never say that, but rarely, if ever, have I driven a car home or a customer's car. They all say, take it and drive it. Well, I have my own car. I don't want to drive your car because I have a really nice car and it runs really well. But on occasion, I do that. And whenever I do, Sylvia, I'll get 2 miles or a mile from my shop, and the car says, oh, I got it. You know why? Because when technicians and diagnosticians and brainiacs and car guys like I are under the gun, they're looking for specific things. But once you get away from work and you relax, then you begin to feel those things that are maybe not as significant and not so easy to find. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
It works. So
I heard you tell the gentleman ahead of me something about the intake manifold.
Yeah, but you don't want to go there. You don't want to go there because you don't want to tell them what's wrong with your car. I just happen to know what was wrong with his car, and he'd already worked on it, So, that's the difference. In your case, you don't want any buzzwords that say, "Oh, well, I talked to Bobby Likis. He said replace the widget here." Well, but I do want you to feel comfortable in as much as you have control over what's going on with your automobile. That's my job here, and it's important to me, and it's important to you. So if you will do and take my suggestion, and just in your mind or record when your car runs the worst, arrange for and arrange this so that you can go down in the morning, say at 9:30 or 10, because the shop's going to be busy and that first load of cars that comes in, the best time to have a one-on-one personal face-to-face is 10 o'clock. I don't care where you go in the States, that's the best time to talk with a service director or a service technician, because that morning load is already unloaded and everyone has their job for the day, and the operating rooms are full, and you can have your own little technician. You got it?
I did leave it one time, and he drove it himself, and he said he couldn't find it.
Well, yeah, but you're going to drive it with it. Yeah, you'll have to start.
To go and
okay.
do it.
So you start from scratch, and you follow my advice, and it will work, and I guarantee it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome so much, Sylvia. Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, folks, that was good timing. So now Fabio's playing the music. I'm going to come back and take Tom's call from New York. Brandon is calling in, and Ron's calling back, too. So don't touch that dial. I'm Bobby Likis. You're going to love us.
Your car and your life have a lot of moving parts. And your car's battery is what keeps it all going. Here's something to keep in mind. While all batteries may look the same on the outside, it's what's inside that matters. So be sure to choose a battery with power frame technology inside. It's stronger, more durable, and keeps you going longer. That means you can count on a battery with power frame to be there start after start. Here's another reason to feel good about choosing a battery with power frame inside. It's manufactured using the latest sustainable processes. You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. So the next time you need to replace your car's battery, make sure you choose one with power frame technology inside. Look for power frame on the outside and know there's true strength on the inside.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you're driving along, 888 Car Clinic will get you into the studio. We are live from 10 till noon a.m. Eastern Time every Saturday. We also record this program, so you can go to iTunes and you can subscribe. And actually, the subscription will download in the background while you're doing other things if you choose for it to. And you can always have it so that if you heard part of a call and didn't quite get the answer or didn't quite get the question before the answer came in, which happens, that's the way broadcasts are. It depends on when you tune in and when you tune in. So with your ears, of course. So I think it's important for you to know that so that you can begin to understand how best that we can help you. And I do want to reach out to KKLS and give a big welcome to our newest Car Clinic affiliate, 100,000 watt powerhouse, KKLS 104.7 FM and 920 AM in Rapid City, South Dakota. A special shout out to KKLS General Manager Marianne Whittle and to Rockin' Program Director Brad Anderson. Special hello to you folks. And for everyone who's tuned in to KKLS now, we're mighty proud to be on your air. And for all of you KKLS listeners, call and let me know you're tuned in with a car question. 888 Car Clinic. That's 888 227-2546. We'll talk about cars, your car. Fancy that. So whether you're thinking about buying a new or a used car, or if you're just getting your vehicle ready for spring, or maybe your car is suffering from a brake or an engine or transmission problem, it doesn't matter. You call me at 888 Car Clinic and let me help you make the best service or repair decisions. Again, that's 888-227-2546. Now we'll take a call from Tom in New York. Tom, thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, Bobby, taking my call.
You're welcome.
You probably see I got a 2014 Hyundai Tucson, and I bought it brand new. It's 2.4 liter automatic all-wheel drive. It's been doing it for a while now. It has a stumbling on acceleration. This is fully warmed up. It drives fine highway speeds. When you come fully warmed up, you come to a stop, especially a stop sign, you start making a turn, you start accelerating, but it doesn't do it all the time. You start accelerating, and all of a sudden there's like a lag. It'll stumble, then all of a sudden, zoom, it'll take right off. Yeah? And I've had it to the dealer that I bought it from. They said since there's no codes coming up, there's nothing wrong. They road tested it, but if you take it down the road and come back, you may not notice it because, like I say, it doesn't do it all the time. It's one of those things that's kind of intermittent.
Okay, let me ask you this question. You're going down the road. This is you driving the car,
right.
And you know you're the primary driver, so you know when it or about when it's going to act up. You never know for sure, because if you did, they would know it. So when you go, let's say you pull up to a stop light, and you stop, and you stop virtually. A real stop, as if I were, a traffic cop watching to see if you stopped or not. Mm-hmm. When you stop, specifically, and the the tires are not moving, the transmission will go into first gear.
Right.
When you almost stop, there are times when it doesn't go into first gear because you haven't the internal parts and the computer doesn't let it because it doesn't know that it's a standstill, because it's not standing still. Mm-hmm. In that case, you could be catching this vehicle sort of off guard and in a position to where it's not in first gear and it maybe is still in third gear or in second gear. And you step on the accelerator, and then if you were to give it a lot of gas, it would kick down into first gear. Now, I'm exaggerating all this, mm-hmm. but can you specifically say that if you stop at a traffic light and have to wait, whether it's 2 seconds or 1 minute, has it ever hesitated from a standing start position?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Usually once you're moving.
That's what I thought. See.
So
here's the problem.
Never does it going straight.
But here's a problem. The problem is that you don't understand the makings of the car, and you caught a weak spot, or you're catching the car with its pants down, and for lack of a better description. And here's how. Again, the computer controls that downshift the transmission must see a total stop before the transmission goes into first gear or goes into the initial gear. And only when it's in that initial gear, ready to go and launch, will it always perform as it's designed to do so. But if you catch this vehicle in a rolling, and here's a prime example, Tom, you slow down for a light, and the light's red, and lo and behold, you get near the corner, and just as you get to the corner, you're going to take a right, let's say. You're in the right lane. Bing, the light turns green, and you look both ways. You never really stopped, and you turn the wheel, you step on the accelerator, and all of a sudden this car, and like, what is this? Well, that's when the car is at its weakest, and that's part of the downshifting program, mapping it's called, of the computer that is hard for manufacturers to make exact. And the reason it's hard is because never do you want the car to go into first gear while you're rolling, because if it did, it'd go boom, and it would pull you back. You know, it would jerk you. Now, I like that, and I use paddle shifters because I like to use my paddle shifters, and I can force my car to go in first gear at 20 miles an hour. It'll turn 5,000 RPM. I don't usually do that. I'll go fifth, fourth, third, and then second and first are really low gears, so I'm more aware of the road speed that I'm going. I use that instead of my brakes, and I use it because I enjoy my 8-speed paddle shift car. Having said that, if your car has a variable transmission, then that doesn't apply. But I don't think that it has. I don't know if the Hyundai Tucson has a CVT or not. Do you know?
No, it's got a 6-speed automatic.
Yeah, there you go. Do you have paddle shifters?
No.
And you don't have a gear shift that you can put over and
you can downshift the man. You can bring it over and keep bringing it down. You know, one gear at a time.
Do you have that?
Yeah.
You do have that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you call that paddle shifters. I don't know.
Well, yes, paddle shifters are manually controlling transmission, so you have the manual control on the stick, right?
Right.
I want you to have some fun. I want you to try that the next time as you're slowing down. Shift that gear over to manual and bring it down. Don't do this now at 40 miles an hour, but do this about 20 miles an hour. Click it down in the third and then second. And then as you get to the corner, and you see that you're going to go, click it into first or leave it in second. But at least you have dictated that it is in a lower gear. And I want you to play with that. It'll be kind of funky to start with, and you'll do the wrong thing, but you cannot hurt this vehicle doing this. Trust me. You cannot. It will not go into first gear and damage anything at a too high of a speed. I want you to try that and see how that helps you to get through this particular part of the vehicle, so that you can understand better how it works and enjoy the vehicle. And if you still have a problem, you'll be able to demonstrate that to the shop the next time. You got it?
I was kind of wondering, they won't show no code though, right in there.
Say again?
They told me there's no code showing up.
Well, that's okay. Yeah, that's all right. That doesn't have to be a code. I mean, it could be a design. What we're talking about is not codable anyway. What we're talking about is a phenomena. That's just an idiosyncrasy, and that codes are not there for that. Okay, all right.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, thanks a lot, Bobby.
You're
Have
welcome.
a good day.
Thank you, Tom. I know exactly what he's talking about. I can do that with almost any car. Catch it in the wrong point. Let's go back to Ron because he had a follow-up question. Ron, welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Your question.
Hi, Bobby. How you doing?
Fine.
Just a question for you. You said to get the most updated intake gasket.
Yes.
All right, would you recommend Felpro?
Sure, Felpro is a good brand. I mean,
okay.
Here's what I would recommend. I'd recommend a face-to-face consultation with the parts counterman and tell him that you're not looking for the cheapest part that he has. You're looking for the one that the better shops buy. That's exactly here. Okay, you go to an O'Reilly Auto Parts store, you see the counter person. You tell them what you've got, and you tell them you need an intake manifold set. And at the same time, and you're talking face-to-face, at the same time, you said, well, what else is normally, if I were a shop and I ordered an intake gasket, what would you say that I should need in addition to that? Because, see, at a service shop, we don't have the luxury of replacing a gasket and then having a vacuum leak, because we're supposed to do it right the first time, every time. I mean, there's no such thing as being perfect, but that's just what we strive for. So you talk to this counter person and you say, well, along with the intake gasket, and by the way, give me the right intake gasket, and is there an update intake manifold for this car? They'll go on the shelf and get one, and you'll look at it and you'll say, well, you'll really be wowed when you pull your old one off and see that there's been change after change, upgrade after upgrade after upgrade. So it's up to the counter person to provide for you the best brand to buy because that puts the connection, that puts the onus on him. And after all, he's the parts professional, and that's how it should be. You got it?
Okay. Even though I don't have any other vacuum leaks there at the intake, you still recommend that I pull it off and change that?
Did you not say you tighten the bolt and stop the gasket leak?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. What you did is a temporary procedure, and it's not a fix.
Okay.
You got a 93 model automobile. You should be so lucky to tighten the bolt. Now, if you had a loose wheel, that's different, but you don't have a loose wheel.
Okay.
Plus, you still have drivability problems. So it ain't fixed. You got it?
Got it.
Okay. All right. Glad you called back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, cities that overspend on cars. Yours truly. Okay, I'm not a city, but it's true. But I enjoy every bit of it. It's called addiction, or car guy or whatever. And yeah, I do. I don't look at the dollars when within limits. I don't have a Veyron, but if I had the money, I would have a Veyron or a Chiron. Cities that overspend on cars: Lake Placid, Florida. WWTK is our affiliate in Lake Placid, Florida. San Juan, Texas. Rio Grande City in Texas. Oh, look at this. Another Texas. Magnolia, Texas. Maybe they have oil money, you think, Fabio? Yeah. Makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, well, where else should there be an overspend on cars? California, Dalonga. Now, if I didn't pronounce that right, forgive me. Donna, I got that one right. Donna, Texas. Kingsville, Texas. Look at all these Texas states. Bastrop, Louisiana. Coachella, California. Mercedes, Texas. Oh, I bet that would be interesting to know where that name of that town came from. Leesville, Louisiana. Well, I think it's really telling that we have so many Louisiana and Texas, and you think of Louisiana and Texas as oil. Corsicana, Texas. Okeechobee, Florida. Wow, that's a surprise to me. Moultrie, Georgia. Brownsville, Texas. Pharr, Texas. San Benito, Texas. Coeur d'Alene, Georgia. Brunswick, Georgia. And Laredo, Texas. Those are cities that overspend on cars. So let's shift gears. Let's talk about the cities that spend the least on cars. Scarsdale, New York. Bronxville, New York. So I'll tell you a quick story. We had a syndicator, Bob Dunn. Loved this guy for years and years and years in our early days. And his job was to get us more stations. And he did a great job. So I go to New York to his headquarters one day. And I'm talking to 3 or 4 of the employees of the company that he worked with. And I'm talking to a young man. And I said, well, what do you drive? And he looked at me like, I don't drive. I said, well, what kind of car do you? I don't have a car. He said, I don't have a driver's license. I said, how old are you? He said, I'm 22 or 25 or whatever it was. And of course, I didn't really understand that folks that live in New York wouldn't dare drive a car because it's too expensive, no place to park. So they take the train in, they take the subway, or they take the cabs. I mean, it's 25,000 cabs in New York. And of course, I don't know how that is today with Uber, but anyway, that was my story. Los Altos, California. This is the cities that spend the least on cars. Saratoga, California. Mill Valley, California. Cupertino, California. And we know where Cupertino is. That's all the Apple, design, everything designed in Cupertino and made in China. Is that right? Well, they sure do a great job. You got to love Apple products. I mean, you really do. I love the packaging. Okay, let's move on. Westport, Connecticut. Darien, Connecticut. Palo Alto, California. Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, been there. Birmingham, Michigan, been there. Westfield, New Jersey. McLean, Virginia. Garden City, New York. Summit, New Jersey. Ridgewood, New Jersey. Lafayette, California. Manhattan Beach, California. Lexington, Maine. And Lexington, Massachusetts, Oceanside, New York. These are the cities that spend the least on cars. I just thought that you might find that interesting. Again, Remember, every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time we come to you. So this is the first of 2 hours of broadcast. We will take a break at the top of the hour. We'll come back about 6 minutes after, and we will start this process over again. I invite you to take a break along with me, an extended break, and I'll see you on the other side of the hour at 888-227-2546. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Berryman's B12 Chem Tool features HEST, or High Energy Solvent Technology, which helps maximize one-tank cleanup of intake valves, fuel injectors, carburetors, and combustion chambers. But don't take our word for it. Nathan had a rough idling 03 Jetta. After one can of Berryman B12 Chem Tool and a day of normal driving, the rough idle was gone. According to Nathan, not only did it work, but some other cleaners cost more than 4 times that amount. Learn more about Berryman products and their HEST technology at berrymanproducts.com. That's berrymanproducts.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's vehicle protection program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And a special welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Miss Hannah will take your calls at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. 227-2546. Put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air if you have a question about your tires, your wheels, your transmission, your power steering, or better yet, if you have a question on how to make your car last longer. How to get the biggest bang for your buck when you go to a service shop. What things you should do to your car to get it ready for the road. All those sorts of things that if you wait until if you're not proactive, you will be reactive. And I will tell you, it will cost you more money, and your car will end up in my garage and not yours, more so than it's in yours. And that's not the way you take care of automobiles. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part this morning by Super Chips and the new Flash Pack F5 Performance Tuners. You can add horsepower in minutes without even turning a wrench. Drive over to superchips.com for all the information. and for more information specifically on what Super Chips can do for the car that you ride. 888-227-2546. I want to also remind you that Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by Optima batteries. Optima batteries are up to 15 times more vibration resistant than traditional flooded batteries. Optima batteries, the ultimate power source. You can learn more at OptimaBatteries.com. We recently sat down with Johnson Controls Global Brand Manager Joe Meyer to discuss the advantages of AGM batteries, including which vehicles are the best candidates for this type of battery. Let's hear from Joe.
Well, there are many different types of everyday vehicles that could be a good candidate, from soccer moms to landscape vehicles to different types of hot rods that really would work well with an AGM battery. Many of these vehicles include extensive electrical features, which really place greater emphasis on the demand for the battery. Additionally, if you purchase aftermarket accessories, such as infotainment systems or even lights, you may require a more advanced battery, such as our AGM. Lastly, where and how you drive your vehicle can really impact the battery performance. So for example, if you live in a climate that gets really hot or cold during our summers or winters, our AGM battery will perform better than standard flooded batteries under these conditions.
AGM batteries help meet the electrical demands put on today's cars. Learn more at autobatteries.com. Talking tunes? No, not the ones on your radio, the ones that allow you to reprogram your vehicle's factory computer. The result is more power, more torque, and a better overall driving experience. Recently, we sat down with Jim McGinn, Vice President of Marketing for PowerTech. Jim specifically touched on performance benefits.
The Super Chips Flash Pack's performance tuning can impact your vehicle's mileage, towing performance, or to optimize drivability while daily driving. The tuning is designed to eliminate excessive downshifting to improve overall drivability, and you can manage things like active fuel management, adjust for particular shift points or shift patterns, shift firmness, and torque management. Additionally, you can also read and clear diagnostic trouble codes, adjust your speed and rev limiters, and correct your speedometer for aftermarket tire and gear ratios. And all of this would come with a 2-year powertrain warranty that comes standard with the Super Chips Flash Pack.
Find your perfect tune at superchips.com. That's superchips.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Did you ever wonder how Volkswagen's diesel defeat device worked? I was always curious as to, number one, why they would do that, and we all know why. Well, I don't know if you know why or not, so I can't say we all know why, but what Volkswagen wanted to do, and they worked 5 years or longer, but 5 specific years on this marketing plan to get the most gas mileage in their little diesel cars that they possibly could get. So whenever you wanted a car that a used car or a new car, and you would say, well, you know, what are my choices? Someone would always say, well, I don't know, if you want gas mileage, you know the VW gets gas mileage. So in order to deliver, and we've also heard folks that go to Europe and say, well, why don't they bring in and import that car that gets 62 miles per gallon, because they're everywhere in Europe. That really is not the case at all. There's a different way to measure miles per gallon there, and it's liters, and I know, but there's still the formula there. So all things equal, it's not the same thing. So I want you to understand that. But specifically, so VW said we want to be the number one car marketing seller, because you can make something and not sell it. So until you sell it, it's not successful. So they did become the number one highest volume OEM, original equipment manufacturer, in the world. And they did this about, I think, the same year that they were caught defeating. So every media outlet in the world has covered the Dieselgate, it's called. But the defeat device folks understood if the car was on a dyno for, say, emissions testing, or if a being was driving on the road. So how did it know this? Well, if the car received steering input, like a driver handling the car in real life, the EGR system performed minimal work, and the engine used a leaner air-to-fuel mixture. This improved performance and the fuel economy significantly, but produced much more nitrous oxide, NOx. The NOx trap was also ineffective, which uses fuel to clean it. So with more fuel available, efficiency also increased, but so did the NOx levels. If the car was on a dyno and no steering wheel input was detected, then the car performed as it should and used the EGR systems normally to keep the NOx level down, and that required the usage of this, so the engine performed much more cleanly. And as a result, you drive it down the road, and this is how this all happened, because the small emissions testing lab that actually caught that couldn't figure out what was wrong with their equipment. They tested this VW on the dyno in the shop, which means that you run it in place, and it measured X out the tailpipe, and then they drove it, and it measured differently. Well, wait a minute, this is the same car. What are we doing wrong? And after probably, I can just imagine after 10 trips out and 10 trips back, then it became obvious that this car reacted differently when it was on the road than it did on the dyno. And sure enough, that's how it all started. And I found it very interesting. And again, they did manage, they being VW, to make the number one selling car because it got more gas mileage, but at what price? Now, that's the bad news. The good news is they were caught with their hand in the cookie jar, or even worse. I don't think it's that light. I wouldn't take it that as a personal, when we work to do the best job we can for all of our customers, and your doctor always on the operating table does his or her best, you wouldn't have two standards. You either have a standard, whether it's low, high, or in between, or you don't. And if you're in the business, you better have a standard. In our service shop, we consider every car that comes in as belonging to me. Now, granted, not everyone wants to drive a car as perfectly running and clean and new as I, because I'm very much anal about my cars, and I admit it, proud of it. But I will tell you, it is always cheaper, less expensive, safer to have a car that's better shape and be proactive than not. And to that end, the Car Care Council, which is a non-profit organization, has some tips that I'll share with you. In the meantime, Hannah will take your calls at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. But let me share with you, spring is here, and its arrival means warmer weather, more hours of daylight, and spring break travel. I don't know what you think about the daylight savings time going away. I don't know, Fabio, what do you think about that?
I didn't know it was going away.
Yeah, our governor, it's on his desk to sign, and we'll have the same time year round. No more daylight savings time.
Wow, that's how it was when I lived in Arizona.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, how did that work as compared to living here in Florida?
I don't really tell a difference except that it gets late, darker later.
Right. So it gets brighter earlier. Yeah. Well, anyway, long story, folks, as you know, that tomorrow's the day. So as you set your clocks forward And also a good time to check your smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at home. Take a few steps to make sure your vehicle is safe and road trip ready, as I said. So let me share a few tips from the nonprofit Car Care Council. Number one, check all interior and exterior lights to make sure they're working properly, and replace worn wiper blades. So you want to be able to be seen and to see clearly when you're driving at night and during those spring showers. Number two, check tires. Now this is a no-brainer, but so do it, including tire pressure and tread. Underinflated tires reduce your car's fuel economy, and uneven wear indicates the need for wheel alignment. I just purchased on Amazon 6 little tire tread monitor devices. In fact, I have one that's unopened out there that belongs to me. I already had one, but I got 6 for our 4 techs in the shop, and they can check the tread depth on the center and the outside tread and the inside so that we can determine if a car is out of alignment or not. It's something that you can do at home and should be doing because you can save a lot of money. And once a tire has worn significantly on one tread more so than the other, you can't fix that tire. You can align the car, but you can't go back. So you need to catch it before it gets too bad. And also, while you're at it, check the tires for bulges and bald spots. Number 3, from the Car Care Council, check filters and fluids, including oil, power steering, brake and transmission, and, as I mentioned, the wipers, the windshield washer solvent, and, of course, your coolant in your radiator system. Dirty air filters also waste gas and can cause engines to lose power. Number 4 on the Car Care Council's list is hoses and belts, and replace them if they appear loose or cracked or brittle or frayed or show any signs of excessive wear, because they're critical to the proper functioning of the electrical, the air conditioner, the power steering, the coolant, the whole engine. You take a belt off an engine, you're going to lose an engine, and you're going to lose the charging system, or you're going to lose the air conditioning system. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that your car's ready when you are ready. Number 5, check the brake system, and make sure the battery connection is clean, tight, and corrosion-free. You've heard me talk about the Optima battery. I recommend the Optima battery. Regardless of what battery you use, you make sure that the battery terminals are clean and corrosion-free. Everything starts, no pun intended, at the battery, and especially with today's high demand for electrical energy, the battery is that important. And one more great idea from the Car Care Council. You might want to check to see if there's a defect in the vehicle that you own, and you can go to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, NHTSA it's called, the website, and that's nhtsa.gov/recalls. And by putting in your VIN, you can look up and see if your car has included any of this airbag, for instance, the Takata airbag. You can also watch a step-by-step video on how to locate your VIN right there on site and find out more about how recalls work. And folks, the bottom line, checking your vehicle thoroughly and taking steps to have auto repairs performed before the spring and summer driving season will not only give you peace of mind, but will also help you avoid the inconvenience and the potential safety hazards of breaking down when you're miles from home. I want to say a special thanks to the Car Care Council and to the executive director there, Rich White, for all of the information that I've shared with you just now, because it's better to do it on the front side than to be forced to service your car on the back side. I'm going to take a short commercial break. I'm going to come back and take your calls at 888-227-2546. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Folks, you've heard me mention that we have an O'Reilly Auto Parts store right up the street from our Car Clinic service shop. Well, I want to share what happened this week. We had one of our fleet trucks in with a transmission noise. At least that's what the driver thought. Turned out, after road testing and racking the truck for closer inspection, the left front wheel bearing was almost locking up. The challenge was they needed the truck back in service the same day, and we didn't get it until almost 2 p.m., so we called our local O'Reilly Auto Parts counterman, explained the situation, and ordered both left and right bearing assemblies. No problems, we thought, but after we disassembled the wheel, we found damaged studs. Easy fix for sure? Well, by this time, it was almost 4 p.m., so we called O'Reilly Auto Parts back. We told them our dilemma and that we needed the studs ASAP. You know, when you have to get a vehicle back on the road, excuses aren't acceptable. And that's when O'Reilly Auto Parts stepped up. Studs delivered, even before we were ready to put the wheels back on. Saved our day and made our fleet manager really happy. Next time you need auto parts, call the pros at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Folks, cold winters can cause batteries to lose their cold cranking amps and ability to start a vehicle. Make sure you have your battery tested and, if needed, replaced with an AGM. AGM batteries maintain more charge over time, better suited for start-stop systems, and if your battery tests low, make sure you check the alternator as well. An extreme cold followed by extreme heat can diminish battery life. Frequently jump-starting your battery or letting a vehicle just sit idle for days at a time can also slowly reduce your battery's power and effectiveness, risking a dead battery. The Bosch S6 high-performance AGM battery is more resilient to the constant demands of start-stop systems and vehicles with high electronic demands. If you're like me, always charging multiple devices, listening to the radio, enjoying all the technology and electronics in your vehicle, upgrading your battery to a Bosch AGM unit is a must-do to keep your vehicle running at its best and ensure you have battery power, always. To find an AGM battery for your vehicle, go to BoschAutoparts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip
from Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So here's my goal. My goal is to help you communicate with your local service shop. And I don't have all the answers, but what I can do for you and will do now is to help you better understand how your car works so that if you do have a problem, you can go into a service shop and talk to those individuals in that service shop and help explain what your car is doing that you don't like. I think that's really important for, number one, you to know. Now, you know what it's doing that you don't like, but do you know how to express that in a way that doesn't make you feel, like you're dumb? I mean, for lack of a better word. I mean, if you go to a service shop, you don't hand them your keys and say, well, my car doesn't run right, fix it. You don't do that. In the first place, any shop that would take your car in under those pretenses or under that conversation, you shouldn't go to anyway. If you hand someone at the service desk your keys and say, take care of this, make it go away, they should in turn look at you and say, great, hand me your wallet with your keys. Because you wouldn't take your, imagine going to a doctor and you've got your child, a 5-6-year-old child, and you've waited for 45 minutes for the doctor to come. Now it's your turn. And the nurse comes and said, okay, here's Billy. Let's take little Billy back there in the back. Well, fine, you go ahead. Wait a minute, you're going to go with Billy for obvious reasons, right? Same thing with your car. And for those shops that won't allow you in the shop because of insurance reasons, well, we don't dance to that tune. We invite people into our shop. Why? So you can see what's wrong with your car. It's your car. It's on the rack. It's not ours. We didn't buy it. We're not making the notes on it. We didn't make it, and we didn't put the miles on it. So you should know what we see as leaking or warn as deficiencies on your automobile. It's that simple. But why don't you do it? Well, that's a good question. That's a question that we can talk about. 888 Car Clinic. 888. Hannah will take your calls at 888-227-2546. I want to reach back out to Rapid City, South Dakota. KKLS, for all you folks tuned in to that newest Car Clinic affiliate on 104.7 FM or 920 AM there in Rapid City, South Dakota. Give us a shout, and we'd love to hear from you and see what you think about Car Clinic and see if I can help you. Can you stump me? Yeah, I've never asked that question on air. People ask, have you ever been stumped? And yeah, many times. I have the perfect answer when I don't know the question. Try me. 888-227-2546. Seriously. 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Okay, gas prices average across the U.S. this week over the same week last year, every region of the United States gas prices are up. $2.56 is the average price per gallon for regular grade gasoline, including all state and local and federal taxes. $3.14 is on the West Coast. So it's important for you to know the trending of gasoline. So let's look at different regions and see how we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of the 10 regions are higher than last week. This is same time, same price last week. So 7 are higher and 3 are lower, whereas all regions are higher same time last year. So the 256 means that regardless of this little weekly flow and ebb of gas prices, looking at the annual cost is higher than it was. Now, will it continue to climb? And the answer is yes. Why? Well, number one, MPG is climbing on cars. We all know that. So when miles per gallon is increased on the fleet, and the fleet is the millions of cars that are on the road, that, by the way, we travel, I think, a little more than 5 trillion miles every day. Wow. Think about it. That's about 20 miles average per car for the 300 million cars on the road. That's 5 trillion miles. You can do the math every day. So the oil companies are really a bit concerned because as many miles as we're driving, if you get more miles per gallon, we are buying less gasoline. So they're selling less gasoline, fewer gallons of gasoline. So that's when the price starts to come up. And the more EVs that we have on the market, the more electric vehicles that we have on the market, they're all electronic, but the more EVs that we have on the market, then the fewer gallons of fuel we will buy. So make no mistake about it, times are changing. And those times are changing, I think, in a good way. I will say this, talking about EVs being quiet and having no noise. I made a prediction about 10 years ago, and I said this is an opportunity for business. But before I share that with you, let's go to Washington and take a call from Victor. Victor, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us today.
Yeah, thanks, Bobby. Now, on the injectors, fuel injectors into the intake manifold, they're going on and off rapidly. Is that not true? Back and forth?
Absolutely. It's control electronic, and or even the direct injectors. They're electronically controlled. The blink of an eye, and everyone, blink your eye. Okay, that's 200 milliseconds, or 0.2 of a second. A fuel injector pulse wave, the width is 3 milliseconds. So if the blink of an eye is 200 milliseconds, an injector opens and closes in 3 milliseconds at normal idle, and up to 6 or 8 or 9 milliseconds if you're in that acceleration mode and go to a rich mixture. So yeah, it's literally a piece of the blink of an eye that a fuel injector is open. And to that end, Victor, the instantaneous miles per gallon readout that we all look at on our clusters or on our center stacks, or the speedometer cluster, that measures the miles per gallon and then gives you an average miles per gallon, does not have a fuel through the line measurement. It actually counts, it being the computer, counts the number of pulses that the injector has opened in, say, 0.6 of a mile. And if the injector has opened 1,236.4 times at 50 psi of fuel pressure, and then 14,000 times at 51 psi, well, you get the idea. That's the algorithm that's used and the measurement that's used to give you the instant readout, and it's very, very accurate. Back to you.
A little solenoid that's tripping back and forth that fast, and if the computer has no moving parts, where's the trip out if the computer is bossing it, but yet the computer isn't tripping? Where's the tripping going on? And that must be a tremendous on-off switch.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's not it doesn't move. It is a ground. A full voltage goes and stays at the injector, but the injector doesn't have a ground. Just like a light bulb, you got to have a positive and a negative. The positive goes to the injector rail, and then each injector independently has its own driver in the ECM, in the electronic control module. That driver is the grounding switch for each injector. And just like the timing, you can actually control the pulse width for each individual cylinder individually, and you can control the timing of each cylinder individually on the fly. It's magnificent. It's hard to comprehend, but it's electronically controlled. There are no moving parts, but you've got this inanimate object over here, this computer with its drivers that's controlling a moving physical injector that is a very precise piece of equipment. In fact, Bosch, and you hear me talking about Bosch, the Icon wiper blades, which is what I use. I have visited their research and development facilities in Germany. I saw this machine, in fact they had about 20 of them, this machine making fuel injectors. You have the case, which is the fuel injector case, has a hole in it where the fuel goes through, and you have a pintle, which is the plug that stops the fuel from going through. That pintle is opened 3 milliseconds, and depending on the size of the hole and the size of the pintle and the pressure determines how much fuel goes through. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. Well, Bosch actually created packs of 12 cases and 12 pintles and mixed, and they're all the same. They airflow the same as far as the hole in the case and the size of the pintle. But what Bosch did was they mixed and matched those 12 pair to get a perfect flow from 12 different injectors. That's how precise, and that's why they're certified for manufacturing of parts to all original equipment manufacturers. That's why they're the biggest and the best in reality in the world. But anyway, what other questions might you have?
Well, okay, now what you're saying, and here's I can comprehend. You're saying, of course, you have your direct juice to the injector,
right?
And the little magnet in the injector that sucks that thing back and forth has to have the juice on and off, and that juice to it is broken by another a shot of juice that breaks it?
No,
or
it's broken.
Without snapping a
Right.
solenoid?
Right. Yeah, it's a
Okay,
spring-loaded.
how,
It's a spring-loaded a doorbell. You know how a doorbell works? You push a button.
Yeah.
Okay. You can look at your own house, any house, except for the chimes of a newer house that has electronics. But an old-fashioned doorbell has a solenoid. You push the button, it goes ding, but it doesn't go dong until you let the button go. So the solenoid pulls a hammer that knocks a little bell, and then there's a spring that pulls it back. So when you let go of the doorbell, the hammer goes back and hits another bell because the spring pulls it back. So it goes ding dong, but the ding is the electric solenoid. And Victor, to make it even more simple, just as the starter solenoid does for a starter, the solenoid gets its voltage from the key and pulls a hammer back that connects the battery directly to the starter motor, and that's how electronics and injectors work as well. I'll be back after the break. Car repairs get expensive, and most of us don't have spare money for them. When a heater core starts to fail, it can be costly depending on location, maybe $1,000 even. When a heater core leaks, it usually comes on gradually with a smell of coolant and a film on the glass that keeps returning. Common leaks are the glued seals on the plastic tanks. This represents a perfect opportunity to use K-Seal, as it can be poured into the cooling system and driven right away. And K-Seal remains in the system, so it can prevent future leaks as well. We recently used K-Seal on a Honda to stop a heater core leak. We never experienced the smell of coolant, but we had to regularly clean the inside windshield glass to remove that film. It doesn't take more than a few drops from a leaking heater core to cause an unsafe film on the glass. After using K-Seal, it stopped. Find K-Seal at automotive retailers everywhere and get more information at kseal.com. That's kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Remember, 10 till noon Eastern Time every Saturday, right here from the center of the automotive universe, comes to you, Bobby Likis Car Clinic, and I'll share information that, quite candidly, I've learned in my 47 years. Tomorrow, 47, celebrating in the automotive service repair and pre-repair. We've been in the automotive service industry so long that we're trying to find a cure for breakdowns. That's true. Now, not to overstretch this, but if you could think of a doctor that would be finding a cure for cancer, I mean, that's something that we all look forward to. I have my own beliefs about whether or not we really are doing that or not, given the size of that industry. But I will tell you, if I could find a cure for breakdowns, I would do that. And to that end, we created a business plan for our local customers. It's called pre-repair, and it's for the prevention of repair. Why? Well, it was a self-preservation for yours truly and for our business, because we became so known for repairing cars that no other shop would repair or could repair. So we ended up with 60% of our own cars that came in our service shop that were broken down. They'd been worked on or worked over, either by the owner or by another shop or by a combination of both. By the time the cars came to us, oh, take it over to Likis. He's good. He can fix those things. Well, folks, if you're repairing the first repairer and first responder, you can see what's really the problem, or at least have a better opportunity. But if you're the third or fourth one to get on the scene, it's really difficult to determine what the original cause was, especially when the owner's already spent a bunch of money before their car ever came here. So, and this is true, so 10, 11 years ago, we created pre-repair. And we have found that pre-repair is the prevention of repair as we designed it. And guess what? We have happier customers. We have customers that have lower cost for maintaining the health of their car. And more importantly, they drive a healthier car 24/7. It's a win-win-win proposition, and it works. And I would challenge anyone in the business, dealership, franchise dealership, independent service center, or chain stores, like the Firestones of the world, or any of the Meinekes of the world, any of the stores out there, the Fast Lubes of the world, to compare their programs and their delivery to their customers as to what we're doing here. Am I blowing our own horn? Yeah, I got a great crew, and we're transparent. I dare say we're probably the, well, at least in my small world, the only transparent company I know. So, but that's enough about what we do. But I just wanted you to understand, if you're in the business or if you're taking your car to your local service shop, wherever you're listening to me, that you'll ask for a show and tell of why you need to spend X amount of money and what caused it to break down to start with. Why? So you can apply that prevention of why and what you could have done that would have saved you money. Like, you spend $1 on pre-repair, you save $6 in repair. Fact, at least a 6-to-1 savings. We can show you. We have the figures for this. So you can apply that if it's too late for your transmission when you should have changed the fluid, versus listening to the manufacturer that said you can run the same fluid for 150,000 miles. Right, just like you can leave the oil at 200 degrees on your stove, a gallon of oil for 10 years or for 10 days without it turning brown and turning into yuck. That's exactly what happens in your car. Power steering fluid. When's the last time you changed power steering fluid in the car you're driving? If it has 35,000 miles, if it has 50,000 miles, it's already burned. Period. Fact. But let's back up, or at least shift gears. I predicted about, 10 years ago, when EVs first really started to come back on the scene, that automakers would, and we would need noisemakers. Because if you're walking down the street, if you're on a golf course, then you can't hear the golf cart coming. If you're on the street, sidewalk, or about to cross the street, you can't tell if an EV's coming. So listen, this is the latest and the greatest. Not to say that I was right. It's not about me. It's about the changing and the shifting of the guard, and how much and how many EVs do you think would be out on the road? But here's the latest, and I'll share this release with you. Automakers that want to sell full electric or hybrid models in the U.S. will have to make their vehicles louder under new rules passed by the U.S. Department of Transportation. Well, the new regulations will come into effect September of 2020 and require quiet cars to produce enough sound to alert pedestrians, cyclists, the blind, and other motorists. Now, Nissan argued that audible alerts were only necessary up to 20 kilometers. But the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, which is an arm of the Department of Transportation, felt that that speed wasn't high enough, so NHTSA said it expects the rule to prevent 2,400 injuries annually by 2020 and will require the addition of alert sounds to about 530,000 vehicles built in 2020. And NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, estimates that automakers will spend about $55.5 million annually to add external waterproof speakers, get that, to their electric cars. And that's a lot less than what was expected, 347 to 445 million that could be saved from low-speed industry. But the bottom line is this rule strikes the right balance for automakers and for the blind community, according to a spokeswoman for a car industry group, the Alliance of Automobile Manufacturers. Her name is Gloria Bergquist. So automakers have now requested that regulators allow the inclusion of multiple types of alert sounds so owners can select the ones they prefer. I said all that to say this. 10 years ago, I said it would be great if we could select how we wanted our EVs to sound. And to that end, my car currently is not an EV, but it does have a megaphone, and it's a Jaguar. Porsche has a megaphone. The Mustang has a megaphone, and a megaphone is about a 1 1/4 inch diameter flexible tube that connects the air intake, that guttural sound, to a pipe that bolts onto and attached to the firewall. So under certain moderate to heavy loads, the passenger's cabin will hear this guttural sound, so that you can take a really quiet driving automobile when you don't want to hear that noise, and yet you want to enjoy that deep-throated sound of that V8 or that turbocharged engine, and you can enjoy, have your cake and eat it too. Now that's American all the way. Let's go to Oregon and take a call from Ronald. Ronald, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Good morning, Bobby.
Morning, sir.
I've got a 99 Buick Park Avenue. I've called you before on this thing, but it keeps on happening. But I got the 3800 engine in it with a 4T65E transmission.
Okay.
And after it warms up, it will go into a harsh shift through all 4 gears. I'll shut the engine down, let it sit for about 5 minutes, okay? Restart the car. It works perfect, okay? I looked on the computer, and they're telling me that the PCM is trying to compensate by raising line pressure because it's not shifting fast enough. Now, I don't know if to be true or not, but I'm not getting any codes.
Well, does it shift late as well as harsh?
No, no, just harsh. But I get a good shift.
Well, there is. The transmission's module does control the line pressure in the transmission. I'm not sure that the 99 is that sophisticated, but it must be, or you have a mechanical spring or piston issue within the transmission valve body. Regardless, and I say that because if you're house hunting, let's say you're going, walking speed, you're looking for an address, and you get up to 6 miles per hour, your transmission is going to shift from first to second gear about 6 miles per hour. Right. That same car will shift from first to second gear at 15 to 20 miles per hour if you're accelerating onto the on-ramp of an interstate. Well, how does it know? How does it know? How does the transmission know to shift at 6 or to shift at 26? That is demanded. It's called driver demand. The throttle, the TPS switch, which is the throttle position switch, tells the computer where your foot is relative to off, to rest. Okay? Number one.
Okay.
Number two, the vehicle speed sensor tells the computer how fast the car is going. The engine computer tells the transmission computer what RPM. And there are other sensors that give input, like load and what have you. So, like if you're towing, because if you're towing, even if you're towing a vehicle, the same throttle opening would not make the car go as fast because it would have more load and be slower to get up to speed. So all of these things, all these inputs go to the transmission control module, and the transmission control module says stay in gear, up, shift. Now, and that's why, for that reason, I ask you at what speed and if your car shifted at a delayed time, and since it does not, you only have one of these symptoms that is current with your car, your Buick. You don't have the late shifting, and you're not accelerating onto an on-ramp. So what would cause a harsh shift? Because all of those things combined would create a harsher shift, because under duress, the transmission shifts with a higher pressure because it has to, because it knows there's a load. Well, in your case, you're not getting the load. So what's the option here? Well, you could have a bad valve body or a pressure regulator that would be defective. You could have, if your transmission is one that I think that is, that has the circuit board with solenoids inside, that could cause that problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have a shorter answer for you that a lot of people say, well, thank God.
Okay.
The shorter answer is I would change the fluid in the transmission, and I would go to a full synthetic transmission fluid which has superior lubricity and will, on some transmissions, soften the shift, because it will enhance the slipperiness of, for lack of a better word, of the clutch application. And as this fluid goes through the solenoids and applies the clutches from one clutch to another, first, second, third, and so on and so forth, it slides more because it's more slippery, because it's synthetic. And just the opposite is what we use in drag cars. In fact, there was a fluid that they came out with 30 years ago that was blue in color and had no EP, no extreme pressure qualities, because it would make a clutch bam, 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 which is what you want a drag car to do. You don't want to waste time getting into the next gear. You want that to be instantaneous, which is not. It's never. In yours, you've got a firm shift, which, by the way, I like. So I would recommend for you to change the fluid, and you can do this without removing the filter, as long as you use a machine to extract all of the old fluid and go back in with a full synthetic transmission fluid for your 98 Buick that did not come with synthetic fluid. That's the easiest thing, the least expensive, and then you can drive it for 2 or 3 weeks, and within 100 miles, you can call me back and say, you know what, it didn't fix it, but it's so much better, I can live with it. That makes sense?
The weather's getting better. That's going to be first on my list.
Okay, my friend. Yeah, please do call me back and let me know how that worked for you in Oregon. How's the weather in Oregon?
It's going to go up to 60 today, and we're out of our rain period now for a while.
That's great. Hey, thanks so much for ringing me up, and I'm here every Saturday, 10 to noon Eastern Time, and do call me back when you get to the other side of that lily pad and let me know how it worked for you.
Thanks again, Bobby.
Thank you, Ronald. 888-227-2546. Let's see. I want to share with you, this is kind of neat. It has nothing to do with cars and everything to do with mechanics. The Voyager fires the thrusters for the first time last November in 37 years. And after almost 4 decades of dormancy, NASA has successfully ordered the Voyager 1 deep space probe to fire a set of thrusters that have never been, they've been inactive for 37 years. And that test was carried out November the 28th by Mission Control at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, in California. So I won't go through the whole scenario except to say that in order for us to continue to get information from that deep space Voyager 1, we have to keep it turned, the antennas toward the globe here, toward the United States. Well, yeah, toward Earth. And so in order to do that, it's running out of fuel, as all satellites have fuels and the Voyagers have fuels. So they're trying to now use a different set of thrusters to keep the attitude correct. I think it's really way cool. It's just unbelievable that what we have and what technology has done for the space program and likewise for the cars that we drive. I got to tell you, I really enjoy sharing this information with you. And remember, next week, the same time, the same station, tune us in at 888-227-2546, watchbobbylive.com, or your favorite AM and or FM station. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Time for another edition of Cooling System Q&A, brought to you by Motorrad, your first choice for vehicle thermostats and caps. Today's question, what makes up your engine's cooling system? The cooling system is a part of the engine that regulates engine temperature and helps prevent breakdown from overheating. A typical cooling system is comprised of the engine's water jacket, a thermostat to regulate flow, a water pump, a radiator that exchanges the heat to the outside air, and the connecting hoses and tubes. The cooling system is designed to remove excess heat to keep the inside of the engine at an efficient operating temperature, approximately 201 degrees Fahrenheit. The cooling system has one major purpose: to ensure that the circulation of the coolant inside the engine can absorb and release heat. The proper mixture of coolant coupled with a high-quality thermostat are critical to cooling system operation. Motorrad offers the best coverage of thermostats and closure caps in the world for virtually any vehicle, on the road or off, leading the way in coverage and service. For more details, go to motorradusa.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, loaded, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning, your name is full, 'cause my